So I want to give you a little update about what's happening in 5th and 6th grade science. So we've done, as you know, we've done a whole section on DNA and on genetics, cloning, plasmids, green fluorescent protein. They did a lot of work. We did a hands-on section where they built a model of a DNA molecule, and now we're working on a project where they're actually going to put the green fluorescent protein into an E. coli bacterium. But as is often the case with Summer Knoll students, they took it a step further and really, on their own, converted this into a really cool project-based system, project-based activity. They immediately decided that in addition to doing the experiment, they want to create an instructional video and teach other students how to do it. And then they took it a step further, broke down all of the tasks. Mikey's going to be the safety officer. Saul is in charge of materials and equipment. Corey is in charge of, Corey and Aristea are the demonstrators. So in addition to doing the experiment, they're going to do the experiment on video. Trent is the laboratory supervisor, so he's keeping them all on task. Isabel is going to do the video along with Addie. And as I said, Aristea is going to do the demonstration. Danny is in charge of standard operating procedures, and he's going to do the voiceover during some of the demonstrations as well as at the beginning. The other really cool thing that they've done is we talked about how to break down a project that you're working on. If you start out with a really big project that's too much to understand, break it down into little pieces, further break down those pieces, and eventually come to individual tasks that you can do. So each one of them took their role, and as a group we broke that down into some individual tasks, and then we take that and sort of created a work process where you start out with the task, work on it. When you're done working on it, report back to the group, modify the task, work on the task, report back to the group. And they've already done through that cycle a little bit over the weekend because some of them had a chance to read. And and that's basically today. They were almost about half the time they were working pretty much independently in little groups. Sal was going through the inventory, checking sure all the materials were there. Mikey was making sure that I had purchased all the materials for safety. With regard to safety, everyone is responsible. Mikey's more the resource person. If somebody says, do I have to wear gloves for this, or do I, where's the spill cleanup kit, he's going to take care of providing those resources. But everyone's responsible for safety. It was also really cool. They were kind of going, there's an awful lot to read here, Dr. George. And so I bounced the question back to him and I said, well, does anybody have a role in which they don't really need to read it, to read the instruction manual and the background material, which they were all downloaded. And everybody that kind of said, well, I don't really need to read it, then the rest of the class said, well, of course you do. You've got to understand this and that and the other thing. And then another student said, well, I don't really need to do it. All I'm doing is blah, blah, blah. And then everybody said, well, of course, if you're doing that, you have to understand the whole thing. So they pretty much decided for themselves, amongst themselves, that everybody has to be fully aware of how to do the experiment. And actually, we're going to try to break the materials into subsets. It's designed for 30 kids, and so that each student can do it, and we'll have enough left over to do it a couple of times to get the video right. So a very cool example of Summers Knoll students creating their own project learning experience. So I will keep you informed, and it's pretty cool, pretty exciting.